Hey
Hey,
everybody, welcome to News by Muse. We got a great National Geographic series I think you all are gonna love that comes out June 15th on National Geographic. And just this week, they announced that it's gonna be simulcast a premiere on ABC as well. Underdogs, we got Mark, Vanessa, the executive producers of the show. How excited are you that this is gonna be simulcast on ABC for on national television?
we're really excited. I mean, the more people that get to see this, the better, because we are super excited by this series. It's just so different from anything we've done before. And we think it's going to be very different and fresh compared to any other natural history show that people will have watched. So the more people get to see it, and of course, ABC is a massive audience.
Yeah,
That's
no,
that's really
brilliant.
exciting.
Yeah, we're hoping it's going to appeal to both adults and kids, and because it's got something for everyone. And we've really tried, we've made it in a completely different way. We partnered with Ryan and Ryan's production company,
Yeah.
Maximum Effort, from day one. So we worked on scripts and looked for the funny in every scenario so we can really kind of reach people, some people who maybe would never watch a natural history show. And that's who we're hoping will come into this as well.
And I'm sure you're gonna get this because as soon as I started watching it, I was like, I have never seen a National Geographic show like this. Normally, it's like somber, there's a tone to it that you're already kind of familiar with. That
Yeah.
went out of the window. That went out the window with Underdogs, and
Straight away.
I think it's funny. I think it's great. What was it about bringing Ryan in and doing something and taking that chance to do something different that National Geographic hasn't done before?
It's really interesting. We've done a lot of things that people will have seen, hopefully, Planet Earth, Frozen Planet, some of these big
Queens. Yeah.
traditional series. We just really wanted to bring a new audience. And I mean, our son just loves this one. And it's because I think from the ground up, we wanted to do something which was the opposite of anything we've done before and make it funny, make it irreverent, but also make it about those creatures that haven't had their time in the limelight before, because they often have the best lives, the weirdest, craziest, grossest things. And as soon as you start thinking about that, well, Ryan came to our minds
Yeah.
just because he's the champion of the underdog. That's his shtick in Hollywood from
Mm.
Deadpool. But just his comic timing and his narration, we could just hear it in our heads right from the beginning. And he was really the only person that could have done this.
Yeah. When someone said to us, "So you're kind of doing the Deadpool of natural history," we were like, "Yeah,
A
kind of,
bit.
kind of." And there's, what better person to take on? We work with David Attenborough a lot, who's huge and certainly in the UK and internationally, and have been trained by him. And this is our kind of, I guess, tribute to David to say, we've taken all the best of that and then brought an incredible communicator who's got a very different style, as you say, into this mix. And, actually, what better way to get people to learn than to get them to laugh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
also, it's a new cast. Anyone who thinks that they've seen it all before in natural history
They haven't seen these
really do
characters.
need to see this, because these are the creatures that have spent their time to now in the shadows, and they
Yeah.
often are the most interesting. Well, hopefully, as you've seen,
Yeah.
they are just kind of so many funny sides to it that are fresh, particularly with this twist, with this comic timing or comic approach.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the best approach to try and get people into this type of genre, especially for younger kids and also some adults that may have moved away from it to bring them back in, which is brilliant, brilliant. But before we get into more of the celebrity aspect of things, I got to talk about the species that you cover. What what was a determining factor of bringing in, and what species did you want to make sure you chose to fit for the series? Because there's some I didn't even know, and I learned something new out of it. What was the determination on that?
We learn new stuff out of it as well. I mean, things like, for example, the pearlfish that only lives or hides in the butt of a sea cucumber. I mean, we didn't even know about that ourselves
Yeah.
before this series, but we set out to look for all of the underdog animals, the unsung heroes of the natural world, some of which we knew about, some of which we found out about during the research for the series.
They had to be kind of a bit gross, a bit weird, a bit funny looking, a bit smelly, a
Mhm.
bit unsavory on the surface. And then actually through the behaviors and the amazing stuff that they do, we wanted to kind of
show their inner hero.
Show the inner hero that actually that, you know, there are very different ways of being successful on planet Earth, and you don't have to have fantastic mane of hair and big glorious teeth and claws.
Some of them can be quite gross, some of the ways of being successful, but success is success.
Yeah, exactly. And that was something that, you know, we think what really works with natural history is when it connects to audiences, when they kind of see themselves in the animals, because we're animals too. And we thought it would be nice and more inclusive for people to be able to go, I kind of identify with that.
Yeah.
You know, we've got the koala bear who feeds poop to its babies, and it's like, okay, that's kind of strange, but you know, it's one way of doing it. It gets a very good result with a very strong immune system in the baby. So
yeah, or scaring away you know, ant predators. If you're a Brazilian tortoise beetle and their larvae, just wave poop sticks at the ants and scare them away with poop.
Yeah.
Fine, works.
Yeah.
To work with humans too. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Waving a dirty nappy, as Ryan said, is about the best deterrent you can possibly have.
And I think, you know, Ryan's kind of turn of phrase, which really lifted this, we feel, was something that, you know, we sort of worked into the stories. So he would just come up with this stuff and then we would recut around it and use it. I mean, one of my favorite animals, because I'm a bit of a monkey fan, is the nocturnal eye, which actually is a prosimian, close to a monkey. But the nocturnal eye is this crazy looking creature, and Ryan described it as if fear and panic had had a baby and rolled it in dog hair. And that is just, you have to see it, but that is the best description ever of an eye.
Yeah. Genius. We could never have written that.
He would just come out with this stuff in the commentary booth, and we'd just, oh my God, that's so good. We have to use that. I know we have to recut it because it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So we would just change our whole production process working with him.
Yeah, and I like the fact that with like the axolotl, let's take that animal, and going into the history of the mythology behind Aztec culture and where that came from.
Yes.
That was so smart to do because even I didn't even know that. I was like blown away to learn about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to really get a lot of people who are Latino who don't know about their culture as much as what we see on the show. Like, it was just fascinating. How important was it to go back to that mythology and bring it into?
Well, you know, the great thing about that particular example is that I think it just shows you that this format, we can put anything in it, and there are no rules. It's just a completely new way of looking at it, and it's great, as you said, that is going to bring a new audience, a Latino audience, to something that will really interest
and connect to that animal. Yeah.
But just generally across the series, every single episode is completely different to the next episode. So, you know, there's one on terrible parents, which is framed around 1950s black and white parenting videos. There's one called Total Gross Out, which is framed around a video game. There's sort of the Super Zeros that you were talking about now, that's got all this superhero mythology and that kind of framing.
Yeah, I think to your point, because each show has its own kind of device that's very unusual, like that was all about the inner superhero in a way. It allowed us to bring origin stories into the storytelling, and of course the axolotl's got one of the best origin stories with the mythology behind it, which really fits in that style of storytelling. But if you'd done a classic natural history, you could never have gone into that.
No.
Yeah, and I definitely have to touch on the cinematography for this show. It's always like you guys always lift the bar.
And thank you.
Company always lifts the bar. And I am just blown away with the cinematography for this show. What was it like to shoot these animals, especially when you're dealing with animals that are so small?
That's a very good
quality
point.
is just at another level.
That's a very good point. And actually, all sorts of advances have helped us in recent times. But a key thing is these are character storylines. So we have to be down at eye level with these animals, and ideally at eye level, and even have the horizon, so you feel like you're in their world. So with the velvet worm, which opens the first show, Super Zero, we got a tiny camera right down on the level of the worm on a robotic arm, which is following the worm as it moves around the forest. And those sort of advances where you've got you know, a robotic arm controlled by a computer and joysticks that are moving cameras very smoothly. And then we've got brilliant new sharp lenses that are tiny. We've got very bright lights that we can use that are cold, which don't stress the animals like the old lights. There's so many technological advances that nowadays help us to film the very small. And of course, those have especially helped underdogs because so many underdogs are small.
Yeah.
But we haven't been able to use many of these advances until now because people have wanted to see the big animals.
Yes.
You know, so this is a chance for us to bring out the new toy kit.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's what I would like to be a part, is be able to shoot these animals and be able to play with those type of toys, because it's just crazy the technology that cameras have been developing now, where it's less sound, especially with lighting, like you said, and using robotics, which is just kind of another level all itself. I do want to touch upon getting back to the celebrity aspect of things. You're able to get Green Day to lend Underdogs into the show. How did that come about? Because that was another one that I was just like, is that Green Day?
Yeah, that was Ryan.
It's Ryan. I mean, this is where, of course, once you come up with an idea that really resonates with a celebrity like Ryan, and it touched him, it felt right for his brand, and he was in from day one. And then his team, we worked so closely. Then, of course, the other thing that comes with that is that he's got an incredible black book of friends, of people that he's like, oh my God.
Hey, let's get Green Day to do this track.
Hey, let's get Green. I mean, we can.
And we go, how we can do that?
Yeah.
I'll just call them.
Yeah. So that's an amazing benefit of somebody who's, who works at that level, who has so many creative friendships, and we're delighted. We think, well, I don't know what you think, but it's kind of stuck in our head.
Yeah.
It's really catchy tune. So
well, being a fan of Green Day since I was in high school, seeing them for like $20, it's always great to see that progression with bands.
Yeah.
See that. But also too, I think will we ever see a soundtrack for this show? Because I think this may be the first National Geographic show that you could actually release a soundtrack to coincide with this release.
I think Harry Gregson Williams' soundtrack is being released.
Yeah.
And I know that the Green Day soundtrack, or the Green Day song, is on their new album.
Saviors.
Yeah.
So Harry Gregson Williams, he did the score for Martian, Gladiator 2, Shrek. So he created a lot of the music around the tracks, and then we've got the commercial tracks as well, which it's very fresh. So I think elements of the soundtrack are being released. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's great to hear, because I think a lot of people are going to buy it because the music is so well done. Everything just fits.
And that's great to hear.
Great.
It's just really good to hear. Thank you so much, Mark and Vanessa, for stopping with us. I really appreciate your time. We love everybody at National Geographic and what you guys do as well. And I hope next time we talk, we're seeing a third Emmy behind you in the book.
Oh.
We've got a few more outside, actually.
Well, yeah, but from what people see,
another one
by there, just fit it in. So
thank you.
Great job. Thank you so much for stopping with us. And don't forget to watch Underdogs on June 15th on National Geographic and ABC.